HKTDC Director for the Chinese Mainland, Brian Ng, has had to look at a broad picture in considering the marketplace following the global recession. So after the global recession and this enormous stimulus package produced by the Chinese government, what do you see as the sentiment out there on the Chinese mainland?
I can say that the business sentiment in the Chinese mainland is pretty good. The economy is still growing fast, and the domestic consumption is very high, and the government is still implementing stimulus measures to boost domestic demands. And the first quarter of this year saw a real growth of domestic consumption by 15.4%. And according to a recent survey, the consumer confidence index, gone up a lot. It gone back to the level before the financial tsunami in 2008.
Brian, do you see problems arising in the property market on the Chinese mainland? Perhaps even bubbles beginning to arise?
Yeah, the government is very concerned about the bubble of property, and therefore they have to put measures timely to curb that that bubble being growing bigger and bigger, and therefore there are measures on the way. They are now discussing how to put up like heavy tax on the second or the third apartment that speculator want to invest. So I think the property price will stop growing fast in the near future.
Turning away from the consumer market and really looking at a production base on the Chinese mainland, of course, our tradition is to use the Pearl River Delta. But are people beginning to get worried about the costs arising there?
I think it's a policy of China. The Chinese government is determined to change its existing mode of economic development, and they attach great importance to upgrading its industry. And with the rise of the cost of labor, land, and resources, it's very difficult for low value-added OEM manufacturing to survive, in the future. So it's advisable for companies to move up the value chain, for example, by enhancing the design and technology element of their products, or to building their own brand. And it's also worth to explore the Chinese mainland market.
And talking about value added, of course, Shenzhen is being built up, isn't it?
Right. In fact, many manufacturing industry along the coast, they are upgrading, their technological level, and they want to, invest more on high-tech industry, whereas the low value-added, labor-intensive factory are moving inward to the central and western China.
The Chinese government has made a great play about developing Shanghai as a financial center. But if you're an incoming investor, how do you look at both Shanghai and Hong Kong?
China is a very big country and has to have more than one financial center to serve the country's needs. Though there are many foreign companies set up in Shanghai nowadays, but most of them still maintain a good presence in Hong Kong and use the service platform of Hong Kong, which is irreplaceable, given its internationalized business community, free economic system, low taxation, a level playing field, and also we have talents from all over the world to work here.
HKTDC has promoted, of course, Style Hong Kong, the traveling roadshow. But how has that really promoted Hong Kong brands, would you say, on the Chinese mainland?
Yes, we have staged Style Hong Kong Expo in several cities over the past 2 years, in Guangzhou and Wuhan, Chongqing, and Fuzhou. They are very well received by local consumers there. On average, each event was visited by 200 to 300,000 of visitors, and the Hong Kong brands of fashion, jewelry, watch, food, and gift items are particularly well received by local consumers. And in the future, we shall continue to organize similar events in other cities. This year, I mean in the second half of this year, we have planned to stage the show in Shanghai, Jinan, and Shenyang.